Welcome, another edition of Kata Challenge Corner. Let's look at some setups from a good setup from the week. There was a really nice morning hook, but because I talked about that last week, I thought I'd look at this one, which I'm just calling the sideways afternoon breakout. It's similar to what Ken calls his Z3P kind of pinched breakout, but I'm not a I don't use the Bollinger Bands as much, so but I do have an indicator I use to help confirm it, which we'll get to. But just to start out, as usual, with kind of our roadmap on the daily Dow Jones DIA. Uh, so this was the setup I wanted to show happened on the 21st, and this is the 20th. So kind of where we were going into it, and the market has been pretty sideways. Uh, you could see this is a candlestick chart with just a 5 period simple moving average for some structure. You could see it bouncing back and forth between above and below. It's rotating around this simple moving average. But the day before, this was the day of the morning hook. It had a pretty large range day, bigger than any of the previous recent days. It closed right near the high. And the reason I just note that is because it seems like often what can happen is like after the large range day, the next day is more sideways, and usually it seems like it often then consolidates at least to the morning. So I was going in the next day, kind of wondering if that was going to be the case. And then this is a 60-minute candle chart, no indicators or anything, just marking down levels of support and resistance. This is a 24-hour chart, and this was going into the afternoon on that 21st. You can see there's some levels up here, and then we had this markup, and then it bounced off this level, and then but basically my point is it was in the middle of the two important levels. It was kind of sitting right in the middle there. And so this is the 5-minute bar chart. Extended hours. So this is using the futures. So this blue vertical line is the opening of the New York session. So we opened here and then came up and kissed. This green line is a previous day's high. This red line is a previous day's low. So and these horizontal lines, they were the ones marked off on the 60-minute chart, right? So it opened near the top of the range and then kissed the previous day's high, and then started to go sideways. Uh, there's a couple ways that I think the Kata challenge layout helps to recognize this, and one is if you um, the flips when the PSAR flips. I'm trying to zoom in. I hope it's working. Like here, when the PSAR, we had the flip, and then price reversed. It went back into the dragon. So instead of getting a momentum breakout, it actually comes back. And then you can see that's kind of the first signal that it's going to be, more consolidating. And then it happened here too, right? We got this flip here, and right on the first bar it flips, it starts to go the other way. So it's people aren't buying the breakouts, right? They're fading them. Um, so and you can kind of just see it, right? That it's starting to go and oscillate and go sideways. So that's the idea of this setup is that, and there's a time of day function here. It usually happens around this time of 9:30 would be 12:30 New York time. So it's coming out of the lunchtime, and that seems to be then when sometimes I think maybe Europe closes then too, but there seems to be that's kind of when these patterns for whatever reason occur. And the ADX is down here, which is I like that rather than like a Bollinger Band. You can see the ADX got all the way down to 9.8, and that's kind of helps just give some confirmation of all the price bar overlap. I don't remember the exact formula for ADX, but I know it doesn't use close. It uses, the highs and lows. So when you have this kind of sideways action, the ADX will get nice and low. And there's some, you could say that there's some converging trend lines too, yada yada. So, and lots of times it seems like you'll just get a little piece, like it'll just come up to maybe test the intraday high, intraday low, something like that. But this one was pretty big. This was by the end of the session. We had some big volume come in, and it broke. always surprising. But yeah, it broke right through previous day's high, right through this resistance. Did come back and test it once, but then it closed near the high again. So it was a pretty large move. This was like over 400 points, I think. I mean, it was like two-thirds of a range or half a range stat maybe in the afternoon, which isn't which isn't as common, right? Usually it's the opposite. You see this kind of big move in the morning. But like I said, after that large range day, sometimes then the morning consolidates. So yeah, so that's it. It's a fairly simple kind of idea, but they seem to be happening a lot, at least in this kind of market environment where it's been sideways. Oh, and then this chart's kind of fun. So there isn't really any like setup here, just that I've been looking at the equal volume charts, which is like when it kind of looks like a candle chart, but then the width of the candle is determined by the volume, right? So if it's like a small volume, it's a really little bar, and then if it's a big volume, the bar gets wider. And it's fun to look at it on the intraday charts because you can really kind of spot like the big money or whatever. I don't know if it's an algo or whatever it is coming in, some kind of bot. But this is a 1 minute equal volume chart of the futures. And so this was at that 10 o'clock at the breakout. You could see here, like, here's the open. There's always the first three candles, right, are going to be big, the big volume there. And then as it gets into the afternoon, you can see how small the bars get. And then on the breakout, it was this massive bar. It was kind of interesting to see how all that volume that was on uh, 1 minute came in. So someone must have pressed some button or something out there to start that. But I suppose if you were looking at that, that would be a good confirmation to buy the first dip, and that kind of volume is behind it. So nice little kind of confirmation there. Just thought it was interesting to share. Uh, but yeah, that's it. Any questions or comments or anything?
And just a comment. Thank you for that. I guess tip or observation that if when a PSR flips but the price then reverses, then it's most likely it's not going to uh, go back up, going to stay in the channel.
Yeah, yeah, it seems to me that's, I mean, it took me a long time to notice that, but I was first, yeah, using that as kind of an entry spot because so often right after it would reverse. So it's kind of like with the moving average crossovers, it's objective, which is nice, but if you're not trending, then you can get whipsawed if you're not careful. So yeah, I'm glad it was helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I went through that, so, with Bitcoin when it was just like flipping, and it's kind of like, oh, it's about to go, and now it's trends back into the channel.
Yeah, yeah, it's this one I just thought was it's to me it's just such an interesting because yeah it's like obvious here what must be going on then, right? Is it like these little traders are playing back and forth? Was it test these levels or these levels, and then all of a sudden uh someone huge came in and stepped in and knocked it, but yeah, it does seem to happen right around there's a bit of a time of day function here too. But yeah, when it's doing that sideways thing, I call it the PSR shuffle, where yeah, it starts
Mm.
to just yeah, go back and forth like that. Yeah,
And
Is
with
frustrating.
that equivolume chart synced up with this one? So the big green bar was what happened
Yeah,
right before the surge?
it's this guy right here. See, I mean, it's like volume, of course. It's like you could see it. This volume, I mean, this is a huge bar, right? So it's like obviously something happened. You can kind of see it in the price, but it's this big bar here around 10.
Yeah,
And then but this is a 1 minute just because it's funny that even on the I mean it's funny how it zeroes it in and kind of leaves a footprint of like the institution. That's why I just find it kind of fun to see. I mean, if you look at these bars before, they're like minuscule, it gets they're so small and then it's like the biggest bar of the whole session. Yeah.
maybe the use of the ADX was a good idea to it could indicate there's less trending, because it's so low.
That's what I'm using for my research for these breakouts. Yeah. Yeah, it helps. I mean, obviously it's on the charts. It's just a derivative, but it does help you confirm how there's, yeah, that the Z3P, I haven't been able to use the Bollinger Bands as much. I don't know why. I just can't I can't get a handle on how to read them as well, because of the whole standard deviation function or something. So I found the ADX though is a really good way to tell when it's, yeah. I've been using that on the bottom of the chart now. It's pretty helpful. Yeah.
So it's like that's like a um, how do you interpret that ADX
Oh, if it's
that low
normally,
ADX?
yeah, normally, like if it's 20 or 15 to 20, then that means the price is trending. If it's below 15 to 20, then it means the price is just flat.
Yeah, yeah.
Flat.
It's not directional. It's directionally agnostic. It's just supposed to let you know if price is moving in one direction or the other. Yeah, like Phil said, the traditional way is like after it goes above 25 or 30 or whatever, then you can look for, like retracements or something that it's trending. But this is like not that, but it's using it because when it's not doing doing that, that's information too. So instead of trending, it gets super low you know, like back here, there was a move, in the Asia session or whatever it was trending really high. It was like above 40, but then here it came all the way down and it gets to the super low reading. And so it's based on that idea, that markets go through, like Ken calls pinch and stretch, right? There's periods where it contracts, and then there's range expansion, or this stretching. So like it's a good way to notice when it's contracting and the time of day is there too because it's the lunchtime. So a lot of the money isn't moving hands as much. But then in the afternoon, there's new players that can come in. It's almost like a separate session in some respects. So yeah, basically when it goes low, that's a lot
So,
of price bar overlap.
so that's when you wouldn't want to trade until you see a decisive move against the a decisive move out of the range. And that I
Totally.
really liked the way the equivolume sort of gave you that confidence that this does mean that we're going to break out.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I looked at this after the fact, but well, the bar itself was pretty. I mean, I say volume, like Ken doesn't, I don't think use volume because it's so correlated. Like this bar itself gets your attention, but it really is pretty. It's pretty compelling. So it's probably something. Yeah, I definitely have it like saved now on my chart, the equal volume, so that I can look at it just to see what's going on with it. I don't have any like strategy design, but that's this sideways breakout is what I'm researching right now. And yeah, like you said, Dan, like I wait then I'm trading that move, but then there is usually like, way in the afternoon, there's usually like at least one Kata two as well. Not as big as the morning typically. But yeah, like you would just wait for the breakout and then, that's what the Kata two is, right? It's trading like the second half. The market tips its hand, shows you which direction it's going, and then you get on the second piece of it. So. But yeah, this is all like, and because none of the Kata challenge patterns really do the sideways breakout. The ZC3P is Ken's way of doing it. So this is just another technique for kind of fine tuning that, because it does happen a lot in the market. So I thought it was interesting to research. Um, anyway, sorry, don't want to take up too much time here.